Just wanted to say that I totally respect your opinion on Halloween 1 and 2, even though I thought both films were phenomenal. But I personally like them both, and I respect your opinion. So, with coming up with, Rob Zombie coming up with his own original film, not a remake, but Lords of Salem, I think this film is going to be really phenomenal, and it's going to allow a whole new audience that who may have never discovered Rob Zombie to discover him. And I like the fact that Rob Zombie is actually, coming up with something original, because there hasn't been a really scary film about witches for a really long time, since like the 1980s or 90s. And I think that's going to be really good. So I was just wondering what you were thinking about Lords of Salem.
Well, like you said, there hasn't, really been a scary film dealing with witches. But, recently, True Blood did do a season about witches, during its fourth year out. And basically, it was about a witch that wanted to get revenge on vampires because the fact that she got burned and basically raped by vampires, and before she died, she used her necromantic powers and basically took all vampires within a certain radius and brought the sun. And that her vengeance basically carried on through season 4 when she possessed this one witch, Marnie.
Yeah.
And, the vampires in season 4 in True Blood basically had to figure out how they were going to deal away with her, or how to stop her. And they did have a very good storyline. But in essence of, scare factor and, coming across spooky and all that stuff, there really hasn't been any,
There hasn't really been any witch films since the 80s or 90s. That's what I mean. And it's cool that Rob Zombie's making it scary again, because when you see people in a witch costume on Halloween, you're not going to be as frightened as when you see Michael Myers, right? So, it's cool to see that Rob Zombie's trying to take something, that's as old as time and make it scary again. Because, and I like the fact that he's taking, like, actual historical events, like the Salem witch trials, which happened, and he's mixing it with his own kind of like fantasy world. Like, he's gonna make it actually like they were actually witches burned at the stake, and they seek revenge. I think that's a really cool concept.
Well, I think Rob Zombie's real struggle with Lords of Salem is actually to make it more scary than it is disturbing, because he can do disturbing really well, but he really can't do, and he can also do intensity really well, but he has never really nailed down the scare factor. I mean, in any of his films, even, Halloween or those rejects, he really more kind of does disturbing and intense. And while those are great, for movies and everything like that, to make a movie scary, you have to have good atmosphere, intense music, and, can't think what else. But however, there's certain elements that goes into making a movie scary. And if he's actually going to try to make it scary,
well, I never said that it was going to be like extremely scary, but I think that his style's really going to work with it, and I like the fact that he's actually trying something different, because he said that he's actually making it more, he's making it on a wider, base, basically. This is the biggest movie he's ever made, he said in a statement. And I thought that was cool, and I like the fact that he's not going with a shaky camera. It's going to be stationary. It's going to be more, it's going to be a totally different style for him, and I think that's going to be cool. when a director does something totally different, that's cool when they bring something like that to the table.
And I also think he may struggle with that. Now, granted, when Rob Zombie does his own films, he does do a good job at it.
Yeah.
Okay, because, you know, his style fits in his own films. I mean, in essence, you know, his films kind of resemble his music videos, you know, here and there.
Yeah.
So his style works there.
Yeah.
But it's just where he really does struggle is trying to do something new. And, you know, I hope he can, because Lords of Salem does sound like a pretty good premise. It does have what you want to call interesting plot to it, dealing with witches.
Mm-hmm.
So I do hope he can do a good job with it.
Yeah, and I wish him the best of luck, and I hope it's going to be a phenomenal movie, and I got a lot of faith in him, so I hope he does a good job.